Hi, my name's Tracy Pepe. Thanks for joining my channel here on YouTube. I started this channel basically about a month and a half ago when COVID-19 really started to be impactful and we were at home, because the question becomes, now you have these essential oils in your home, what do you do with them? So my goal is to educate you, to teach you, to give you some advice and help you walk through some basic applications so you feel safe and confident using your essential oils at home. I'm a big advocate for using essential oils and scenting a space. Diffusers are a wonderful application. Old dryer sheets, putting a few drops of smell on a dryer sheet and leaving it in a room near a fan is always a nice way of just adding scent to a space. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to get into a big production. It can be just as easy, as simple as a few drops and enjoying the atmosphere. Now, we talked about a previous video I had on essential oils and the basics of blending when it's an aromatherapy per se, a therapeutic application. What I want to talk to you about is perfumery blending general, and it's just 101. I design fragrances and I work in the fragrance and the perfumery world. There's very different levels of perfumery. I know many master perfumers. I wouldn't call myself that by any means, but I have experience within the industry and I understand synthetics and I understand naturals. My forte is I like to work with a primary source of naturals, but I do use synthetics within my fragrance blends. Some of the synthetics are quite unique, and there's some smells you just cannot get from an essential oil. Things like a melon note. You're not really going to get it. A milk note, oils such as a metallic note. These notes you just are not going to find. And what do I refer to as a note? A note is a description of a scent. Excuse me. Now, in perfumery, you have top, middle, and base note. And when you blend, you make this orchestra of scents. Think of creating music. You know, you have various different notes that create different stories, and these notes are evaporated at a different level, or you smell them at a different level. So starting with the base notes are generally heavier scents of woods, of vanillas, very gourmands can fall into this category, and they are the ones that linger the longest. They usually have, there's animalistic notes fall into this, musk notes. These smells are what create the baseline. The middle or the heart note are usually anywhere from 40%. 40% of the blend generally. In perfumery, a lot of them are rose-based accords in fine fragrance, but they don't have to be. There's a lot of florals that you can work with, but there's a variety of different raw materials that you can work with to create the middle accords. Top notes are usually either ozonics, which are airy and fresh, or citrus notes, and they flash off very quickly, so they're the impression of the blend. They're usually the first to be smelled, but they're the first to go too. These are the three types of categories that we work with in perfumery, of top, middle, and base note. Obviously, creating a blend is not going to happen on a YouTube video because sometimes these blends can take years in the making. Some of the greatest perfumers have formulas and accords that they have been building. An accord is generally a combination of notes that creates a structure that can be a singular note. So a milk accord. Some of these oils can have hundreds of different raw materials in them, and they can take forever to actually perfect. And this is where perfumery is like a chef. It requires tweaking and skill set and understanding and patience. And it's not something that you can just sit down and put 4 or 5 oils together and claim yourself as a perfumer. There's a lot of training. There's also a lot of regulatory that goes into this and a lot of science because there's some safety factors involved. I think some of the backlash of the natural versus synthetic is, yes, there's some raw materials that are not necessarily something that we would want to work with. And there's a lot of fillers and things that are added to fragrances to keep costs down in the commercial world. And I think that's a different discussion. But generally speaking, perfumers who create fragrances, trained professionals that have a background, and there's many different types of perfumers all over the world. I adore the profession, and I think they do a wonderful job trying to capture a story within a fragrance. My name is Tracy Pepe. I hope to continue these conversations and join you and give you insight on this wonderful world of scent. Thanks again.